Hey, what's up guys? Spencer Rhodes here, and this is my review of The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 4, Some Guy. So, this is probably tied with Episode 2 so far as the episode I like the most. I don't want to say favorite, because that kind of implies that I loved it, and I didn't really love it. I don't really love this season, just like I didn't love last season. And I kind of had some negative feelings about the season before last season. Just The Walking Dead in general has it's been disappointing me for a long while, and there's certain elements that keep me kind of locked in, but even those elements are starting to fall off. But this episode was okay. And like I said, pretty much tied with episode 2. And there are definitely some things that I liked about this episode. I like the segment, the opening segment of the Kingdomers, getting ready, going to war, people saying goodbye to their loved ones. And that really made me question, like, Jesus Christ, like Rick and everyone else just wanted to, like, force these people to go out and die for a bigger cause, like, against their will. Like you just came to these people and just begged them to die for a bigger cause. Like these people have families, these people have each other. They just want to live. Not everyone on the planet wants to die for a bigger cause, but here they are. They're going out. They're doing it. They're getting ready. And Ezekiel believes that he can fight without a single casualty on his end, and that is kind of stubborn and cocky and not realistic. But it's also admirable that he cares for his people so much that he's going to try so hard to keep them from having a single casualty on their end. Ezekiel gives this speech, and the speech is pretty good. It's not the best speech in the world. It's probably not the best speech on the show, but it was pretty good, and it was a pretty good scene, and the music was good. I liked how it was the music from Season 7, Episode 8. Like that scene when he's giving that speech, it really kind of has a soul to it. You really feel it. You really feel like, the creators of this show really care about these characters, and they understand, and they sympathize with the fact that they're human beings before killing them off. Like they understand that. That's what that speech, that's what that scene communicated to me with the music from Season 7, Episode 8. I think it's called Heart Still Beating. And Carey Payton, I think that's his name, his acting was outstanding. His acting this entire episode was outstanding. Some people say that he overacts. I just think he gets a little too much screen time, a little too much dialogue. Like, I'm a big Abraham fan, and Ezekiel in the show gets more screen time in one episode than Abraham got in 3 seasons. That's kind of ridiculous. Especially if you read the comics and you compare the two in the comics. But, I kind of think it's the writer's fault. Sometimes the dialogue Ezekiel gets is just like really fucking, like, I don't know, But Carey Payton does a great job. He always brings his A game, especially this episode. His acting was outstanding, and that speech was outstanding as far as his acting goes, and the way the camera zoomed in on his face. And I do like how everyone like circled around Ezekiel at the end, except for Carol, because Carol I don't know about this, because she realizes that it's noble, but it's also kind of fragile, because if something goes wrong and most of them die, they're gonna be just devastated, And then we cut to the pile of bodies, and Daniel's dead, and a bunch of other people are dead, and Ezekiel's injured. I do like that. There's like some weird little weird little cuts right before Ezekiel screams, and I actually like that. Like I actually kind of like that. That was kind of cool. And then Alvaro saves Ezekiel. And in case you didn't know, but yeah, that's his name, Alvaro. He was in Season 7, believe it or not. I think he actually kept going with Ezekiel to do the trades with Gavin, like trading the pigs and stuff. He was actually there. he's like helping Ezekiel, and that's a theme in this episode is people want to sacrifice their lives for Ezekiel because he's the king, he is the leader. They all look up to him. They believe his is like the president, the president and the president's guards. The president's guards, their job is to keep the president alive, even if that means laying down their lives. Those are how these people like Jerry and Alvaro and Daniel feel about Ezekiel. That's how that Daniel's last moment in the episode before was saying, protect the king, and everyone was jumping in front of Ezekiel, getting killed so that Ezekiel could live. That's a big theme in this episode. All these people, all these warriors that is with Ezekiel's group, when they went out, they're all dead. But before they died, they believed that Ezekiel's life was more important than their life. And at the end of the episode, Ezekiel does not realize that he doesn't believe that anymore. He just believes himself as a normal person whose life was not worth all of his group's lives, Alvaro is risking his life for Ezekiel, and then Alvaro gets killed. And that's one of my biggest problems with this show, when someone says like 2 or 3 words and they're gonna die because they say 2 or 3 words. I mean, for fuck's sake, give them dialogue before they die. It's not that crazy, that happens with a lot of characters. They'll be in like 10 episodes, but they won't say jack shit. They will just be in the background. And then when they finally say 2 or 3 words, God forbid, 2 or 3 words, they die. That is stupid. It needs to stop. It's just, for one thing, they're gonna die because it happens all the time. When someone says 2 or 3 words, you're like, oh, they're dead. I would rather it be more random and it being more unpredictable. At this point, after 8 seasons, whenever someone's gonna die because they talk. Unless they're like a main cast member. If they're a main cast member, they have to have like a moral upbringing. If they're a main cast member and they have a moral upbringing, they die. If they're a recurring character and they say 2 words, they die. That's the punishment for each aspect. Come on. It's just, I just think that's stupid. I want to get to know characters before they die. The recurring characters are sometimes really interesting. And, that's the thing with Alvaro. When he had 2 or 3 words, he was going to die. Anyway, that weird-looking savior with the glasses took Ezekiel hostage, and that was kind of annoying. I felt like that was like a whole 10-minute, like 12-minute, almost a third of the episode was Ezekiel being with this savior. And the whole purpose of that is for this savior to kind of beat Ezekiel down and bring Ezekiel down and make Ezekiel feel guilty about those people that died for him. He's like, all those people died for you like sheep. You tricked everyone. You played your cards good, but you're just a joke, and you've got that tiger, and it's all just a joke. And once we take all that stuff away, it'll be over. And you got all those people that die for you, and it's bullshit. That was the whole point. And it could have taken like 5 minutes for that to happen, but it took like 12 minutes of the episode. And I'm not even talking about the commercials. There's like 12 minutes of the 40-minute episode was the savior in Ezekiel. It's like, why are you developing this savior? He's just going to get killed. He's just there to be an asshole. Just kill him off in like 5 minutes. Jesus Christ, But when Jerry showed up and sliced him in half, that was a badass. Some people were like, that's not realistic. And I'm like, who gives a fuck? It was awesome. I love Jerry. And, Jerry and Ezekiel kill some walkers, and that was pretty cool. And we see Carol, and Carol is killing the saviors that had shot most of Ezekiel's men in the tower. Then she goes outside, and she has to choose between killing these couple of saviors that have a bunch of ammo. If they deliver it to Negan and his people in that outpost, or in that main sanctuary, they'll be able to get out and not be trapped by walkers. But she's stuck between killing those saviors and preventing that ammo from being delivered to Negan, or saving Ezekiel and Jerry. She can't do both. And then she decides to save Ezekiel and Jerry. And then there's a flashback between Ezekiel and Carol, where Carol's, questioning, are you ready for this? Are you ready to fight and for all the changes? And Ezekiel's like, I can adapt. I adapted when I saved Shiva's life. I decided to change. Then he asked Carol, what made her change? And Carol says, she decided to change, but life decided some things too. So they kind of mirrors Ezekiel and Carol's development, and I like that. As I said before, like, my interest in this show has been fading the last few seasons because I feel like the show's getting worse. I feel like the show is never going to be as good as the first 3 seasons. For the first 3, 4, 5 seasons are always going to be like the best part of the show. Maybe it's the characters, maybe it's the smaller scale where it's just like a small group and not 50 million people, then bottle episodes all over the place. But watching this and then watching the first season of The Walking Dead, it almost seems like 2 completely different shows. Like these are not the same, evolving storyline. And a part of that is, Frank Darabont he did like all of season 1. And I really liked season 1. Season 1 is my favorite season by far. And it's only 6 episodes. And, there's no fat in season 1. There is no fat at all. It's all just like lean muscle. And I really like the characters. It felt more realistic. And it's how do I explain this? I'm sorry. I just like the characters more, and I liked how the characters were in every episode pretty much. There'd be like 10 main characters, and they would all be in every episode, and they would still get development. Like Scott Gimple says that, we need, episodes to have 2 main characters so that they get more developed more. That's kind of an excuse. If you want to develop someone, develop them. You don't have to have a whole episode with just them, And I liked season 1 because it was more lean. There was no fat. I just liked the way it was handled more. I thought it was more realistic. And I just feel like, getting to season 8, there's just all this bullshit, and it's not changing, it's not getting better. I could spend hours talking about this, but I'm not going to. I just think the show has gotten worse, and people like me keep watching because we still care. We still care about the characters. That's why I watched this show. That's why I watched the first season, the characters. I was interested in knowing what would happen to them, whether they would die, whether they would live, how long would they live, what would happen to them, how would they die. That's why I've stuck with this show all this time, even though there's not a lot of people left from season 1, season 2, even the new characters. I want to see how they interact with the season 1 survivors. I want to see if I'm ever going to like them as much, and I watched this show for the characters. I watched this show for the character development, and that scene between Ezekiel and Carol was really nice because it was really nice character development. Kind of seeing how Ezekiel and Carol mirrored each other and how they both changed from violent circumstances, how really bad things have now happened to both Ezekiel and Carol, and that's a part of what changed them. It's not them wanting to change, it's how these bad things have happened before they became stronger survivors. I think that's interesting. And then when Carol kind of makes the more emotional decision to save Ezekiel and Jerry, and then risk that ammo going back to Negan, that's an interesting moment for her because she's always been someone that does the hard thing, that does the realistic thing, So then we see Rick and Daryl chasing after the Saviors, and that's a badass scene. Like, I gotta say, I do like Daryl just being super badass and just being like, he's killing the Saviors. He's not fucking around. He got back on that motorcycle like a boss. That was awesome. And then Jerry, Ezekiel, and Carol are struggling to get away, and Ezekiel is struggling, and he just starts killing walkers and telling Jerry and Carol to leave him behind. And then Ezekiel's like, I'm not a king. I'm just a normal person. Go, He's not just saying this. He's collapsing. He's just breaking apart like a castle when he says this. And I love Carrie Payton's acting. He's realizing it when he says it. I'm just a guy, his voice changes and everything, because he kind of has two different voices. And we've only seen his normal voice in one episode, which is his first episode, when he's talking to Carol and he's taking the mask off, pretty much. The mask comes off when he collapses and says, I'm just some guy. And I loved that. I loved Carrie Payton's acting. I loved Ezekiel just collapsing like a castle, just collapsing into dust. And then Shiva saves their lives. She gets attacked by walkers. I liked the death. I liked that it wasn't really gruesome. They didn't really show her get torn apart at all. We saw one walker eating some guts, and then we hear Shiva dying, and the blood and the water going past the, whatever you call it, the bucket. That was awesome. It was just really tastefully done. I think they knew that no one wanted to see this pet tiger that we all like get violently killed by walkers, even though that's what happens in the comics. We were kind of dreading it. So I like that they just kind of cut away to the characters' faces and Shiva dying. The only problem I had with her death is it just didn't seem like enough walkers. This is what, a 200, 300 pound tiger, and these are really decayed zombies all around her, and there's 8 of them. I was expecting it to be 1,000 of them, or 100 of them at least. I know that's not very realistic, but it didn't have to be in this swampy place, but it was just 8 walkers, and they all took her down. And I just kind of thought, a strong tiger, I don't know. I think she could have gone out of that. And she's not human, so a couple of bites aren't gonna kill her, turn her into a zombie tiger. So I think she should have gone away. Overall, like I said, this episode was okay. I enjoyed most of it. It has some of the problems that the show has had for a while now, and the show has no interest in fixing them. But this episode was okay. It's probably going to be one of the better ones in the last couple of seasons. I am interested in seeing how the rest of the season plays out. I already have an idea of what's going to happen, just because it's so painfully obvious from the structure that this show has been following. And I don't think this show is too good at handling, 5 communities and 10,000 main characters or recurring characters with this whole bottle episode format and just everything. The show just isn't too good at handling that. So, I'm interested in seeing how the rest of the season plays out, but it's probably going to be a shitload of characters. You like them for 5 seconds and they die. They say 2 words and they die. It's always been like that, and but we'll see. We'll see what happens. This was a good episode, and I'm interested in the rest of the season. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm at 241 subscribers. My first goal is 250. When we get to 250, I'm going to make a celebration video. I'm going to try to make it the most awesome video ever. So please, if you haven't subscribed, please do that. Please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate all the support from every single one of you. Anyway, that's it. I'm Spencer Rhodes. I will see you guys later. Bye.